Kendrea with Mann Lake, back here again for another Bee Buzz with Central US. This is actually a dead out hive. We're gonna actually be going through that today just to do an inspection to see exactly what occurred to cause this dead out. We're also gonna go through the procedure of how to store with paramoth after you have a dead out and some tools that you may wanna have when going and investigating a dead out hive. All right, a couple of tools that I like to take with me, especially when I know there's a dead out hive that I need to go ahead and start to store either in late fall or in early spring before I'm gonna be getting those bees in, is my paramoth. We also sell this so on our website, and you also can give us a call in order to place an order for this. It's always a great thing to have. Some trash bags. I also love to carry some paper plates with me out to the hive if I'm going to be storing a dead out. A hive tool, because even though this is a dead out hive, we still have to break that propolis seal that they've created through the hive to break everything apart. A flashlight for inspection purposes, and a frame holder for inspection purposes. Let's go ahead and get started. All right, so the first thing, of course, you're gonna wanna do is just pop the top cover in order to see exactly what is going on. Hive tool in hand, you're just gonna run across both sides to break that propolis bond. You'll see some propolis come off there, of course. Some people actually harvest propolis. That's why we sell a propolis trap, so keep that in mind. Starting out, you see this top comb, I always try to just scrape it off to do a minor cleanup of the hive. I even do this through my standard inspections. This is just to make sure they're not building burr comb where it's not necessary or needed at. Now that cover's all clean and ready for storage. Then I move straight into the top bars on the frames, doing the same thing, just doing some cleanup here. Always be sure you're watching for anything that may signal to you that you may have some kind of predator or pest inside the hive during this process. Seeing some fibers like this may mean you need to watch for wax moths, which is one reason why you store with paramoth. We actually had some leftover patty here, so that tells me that they didn't starve out, or at least a portion of them didn't starve out, because they did have the availability of some kind of patty available to them. I'm also ensuring that if I have any box damage or frame damage, I'm not storing or reusing those particular frames. The reason why you store frames that are good and in line is because the straighter the frame, the better they're gonna build as appropriately in a hive as they should. So like this frame, as you can tell, the little ear has actually broken off of it. At this point, this would be when I would disregard this frame. It's no longer in use by the hive itself, and this is a good time to go ahead and dispose of that. The last time I did an inspection, this frame was loaded full of baby eggs and larvae. I did not want to dispose of it during that time and weaken the hive. Starting with the most outer frame in the box itself, you're just looking to pop this out. Since this is a dead out hive, I may be giving a little more information than what's necessary, but those who are newer beekeepers may just need a little bit more knowledge, of course. This is also how you're going to inspect your hive. You start with the most outer frame and work your way inward. As you can see, there's been some robbing doing on this hive because it's a little rough in texture here. Robbing is completely normal to a hive that is a dead out. As you can see, that tells me that they had a food source within this hive whenever they died out. Discoloration of the brooder frames is completely normal, and they are reusable. You just want to make sure that you're cleaning up any kind of burr comb off the frame itself, but discoloration is not a bad thing when it comes to brood frames. I actually find it a lot easier for me to be able to see the eggs and larvae the darker the frame is, which is one reason why we offer a black foundation. And we have a little robber bee here. You're fine, Beans. No big deal. They just come in to check out what I'm doing and to see if there's any food left over for them. At this point, I just kind of start scooting the frame over within the hive Keep in mind, this is that frame I'm going to disregard. As you can see, we have some dead out bees here. A couple of things that could cause a hive to die out. When this hive was originally stored, it was actually a weaker hive to begin with. So I know for a fact that this cluster was a lot smaller. We was just trying our best to give it a fighting chance at this time. You can tell the queen was laying. There's still evidence of capped brood. But you can also determine about the size that the cluster was when they went into storage. This is probably around their peak. This hive had plenty of food source. They just wasn't large enough to stay alive during the whole winter and keep warm. When you're looking at a dead out hive, it could be a couple of different things. Of course, the varroa mite is always something you can look for, and I'm not seeing currently any evidence that this hive had the varroa mite on their back. No wing deformities, anything like that. As you can tell from this one, the wing patterns are gorgeous on these. Another option that you can look at whenever looking at wing patterns and to see if there was any other cause of death within the hive is, of course, the trachea mite. The trachea mite causes a K-wing, meaning the wing will flip out like a K, forming a K with the body of the bee. Trachea mite is harder to detect within the hive until you start seeing evidence of it. And you can send those off if you need to be tested. The varroa mite is an apparent, it almost resembles it is a pest that hooks to the back side of the bee. It's going to hook right underneath the main abdomen of the bee itself. It also causes wing deformity, but more like the wings kind of shrivel up in itself. When looking at a dead out hive, you're looking to see if there's any buildup of a nest in the hive. It does occur from time to time. Even with the mouse guard, because mice are very notorious to actually burrow into the box itself, and if they're determined, they'll get in. You're just scraping that frame down, back down to the plastic. I'm not even going to remove the whole comb itself, just from here over. This is just to offer them a fresh build out, and so that they don't have to work to get rid of that old and dead before they ever even get started in a new fresh hive. If I was doing a full scraping of the frame, I would also be sure to get some spare beeswax. We also sell that in strip, 1 pound, 2 pound, and 25 pound block. And that way I can do a recoat on this. But since I'm only doing a partial cut off of comb, at this point, I'm just going to leave it as is. The bees are going to appreciate that they at least have some pre-built out for them. Bees love a pre-built comb. This is probably about as much as I'm going to cut out from this particular frame. I'm going to go ahead and clean up them other frames. After you've done all the cut out on your comb that you're going to do on any of the frame that you may have needed to cut out and to reserve, of course, at this point is a great time to go ahead and store with paramoth. The oversized trash bag or a lawn trash bag itself, it's really nice for this. I just simply open it up, stick my hive down inside of the trash bag with the top completely open on it. I will actually layer in. I will remove the debris board when layering it in the trash bag, and under the hive itself, I will actually put a paper plate with about a cup full of paramoth crystals, continuing to store the bottom, the top, the frames, and the hive cover inside of a singular trash bag, tying a knot and making sure I go back about once every 2 months or so to check on that paramoth in the bottom itself. So let's go ahead and get this loaded up. And you're going to want to scrape any of the dead bees out of the bottom of this. Our collapsible hive stand breaks down really nicely, so you can always break this down, storing it into a flat box or a tote in your plastic trash bag. I don't have a paper plate available. I know a lot of people don't use them anymore, so if I don't have one, I'll just simply flip over my debris board, using it as my first storage layer inside the bag itself. You're going to want to put about a cup on top of the debris board itself. I find this to be the easiest way for me to store my hives, is with just a simple debris board. And it's part of my hive anyway, so I'm not trying to have to remember to bring something else out to the hive. Bottom board goes in. You're wanting to avoid actually touching the paramoth to the wood itself. Then your hive body and your frames go in. It doesn't have to be stacked perfectly, and I always try to stack this where I'm going to store it. Remember, if you get any holes or tears, you're going to want to put a new layer on. And it's okay to double bag this. The whole point is you're protecting your equipment from having to do repurchase on it. If you don't have a bag, you can also use a reusable storage tote. Is always an availability. Adding your top, that's going to keep that paramoth closed into the box itself. You just simply tie a knot. Protects against wax moth. Yep, so just remember, if you're trying to keep those pests of those wax moths out of your hive, you're going to want to store with that paramoth again. All right, guys, so we went over what to look at for a dead out hive, how to store with paramoth. We'll be back here early spring once we have some package bees. Again, if you haven't got those orders in, we are still taking orders for package bees to replenish those dead out hives. Always keep in mind, when you're storing with paramoth and you're expecting package bees, you're going to want to bring those hives out and let them air out about 2 weeks prior to your packages arriving. Package, nuke, you swarm, you want to be sure you have something on hand available for you to actually put those bees into. Again, this is Kendrea with Mann Lake. Like it and subscribe for more videos.